Hello class, this is the recording for January 23rd while I am out. I want to keep you working hard and get you prepared for your quiz that was moved to today. The first thing that I want to go over so that we're all on the same page is the schedule for today. So if you are in my first block and you're watching this right after you did the multiplication challenge in my first block, then it is probably about 8:30. And that is when you will go through and you will have math. You will watch this video, do a practice worksheet, and then check that practice worksheet as you finish math. The rest of your day will be pretty much the same until you get to the end of the day, where at the end of the day, we will have a quiz all together. That will be during your end of your ELA block, and from 12:55 to 1:20, you and the other class and Miss Fari and the class that she has will all go into the science lab to take your Topic A math quiz that we have been preparing for all week. Now I'm going to speak more specifically to the second block. If you are watching this, it is probably the beginning of your science block. And I know it's unusual for us to do math during science, but you are going to do the first half of math during when we would usually do science. You're going to do the second half of math during when we would normally do math, and then math is going to be cut short for that quiz time from 12:55 to 1:20. I hope that you are able to hear me okay. It's a little bit late in the afternoon. If I make mistakes, you got to forgive me, but we're going to get through it and get this video recorded for you guys. So, the first thing that we're going to do is count by threes to 24. We're going to be counting by 3/4 up to 24/4. I expect everyone to speak out loud like you normally would when we were in the classroom together. When we get to 24/4, we're going to count backwards. The first one you say is 0/4. Ready, set, go. 0/4, 3/4, 6/4, 9/4, 12/4, 15/4, 18/4, 21/4, 24/4, and back. 24/4, 21/4, 18/4, 15/4, 12/4, 9/4, 6/4, 3/4, 0/4. Very good. Let's scooch down, and we're going to change all of the whole number fractions into whole numbers. Let's see what we have. All right, now we have changed 0/4 to 0. We have changed 12/4 to 3, and we have changed 24/4 to 6. Let's do the same thing, except where we have changed the whole number fractions to whole numbers, we will say the whole number, starting at 0. Ready, set, go. 0 wholes, 3/4, 6/4, 9/4, 3 wholes, 15/4, 18/4, 21/4, 6 wholes, and back. 6 wholes, 21/4, 18/4, 15/4, 3 wholes, 9/4, 6/4, 3/4, 0 wholes. All right. I did that for the sake of keeping our routine as similar as possible. I hope that you were able to follow along. What I need you to do now is get your whiteboard, marker, and eraser out in 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right. The next part of class is going to be preparing for your quiz that you have at the end of the day today. The first thing that I want you to do is split your board into 4 sections. And up here you have 4 questions. In one section, I want you to write an example of a mixed number. In the next section, I want you to write an example of a fraction greater than 1 or an improper fraction. In the next section, I want you to write an example of a fraction equal to 1. And in the last section, I want you to write an example of a unit fraction. You have 1 minute. Go. This is an independent activity. You should be checking to see what you know for your quiz. Some of these things are written somewhere in the room, and that's okay, but find the answers for yourself. About 30 more seconds. You need a mixed number, an improper fraction, a fraction equal to 1, and a unit fraction. Turn your attention up here in 3, 2, and 1. Let's check. All right, these should be things that you have grown used to writing on your board. You should have been able to pull something out of somewhere to write for each of these answers. The first one is a mixed number. A mixed number is a whole number and a fraction next to each other. I wrote an example of 1 1/2. You could have also written something with 2 or 3, but you need to have a whole number and a fraction next to each other. These are pronounced 1 whole and 1/2, or 1 1/2, and 2 wholes, or 2 wholes and 4/5. Next, it says write an example of a fraction greater than 1. You could have written any number of improper fractions here. Just check your fraction and make sure that your numerator or top number is larger than your denominator or bottom number. So 7/5 is an example. You could have gone 104/3. As long as your top number is bigger than your bottom number, that is an improper fraction or a fraction greater than 1. Next, it says write an example of a fraction equal to 1. Fractions equal to 1 look like 2/2 or 3/3 or 4/4 or 5/5. What you need is an equal numerator and denominator. That means that your denominator tells you how many parts there are in the whole, and the numerator tells you that we have all of them. So the whole is filled in. 5/5, 4/4, 3/3, or 2/2 are some good examples. Make sure your top number and bottom number are equal. And last, it says write an example of a unit fraction. We always say a unit fraction is what, class? A unit fraction is what, class? 1 piece. A unit fraction is 1 piece. So when you drew a unit fraction, you could have gone 1/3, you could have gone 1/7, you could have gone 1/432. You just need to have a 1 on the top. That says that the denominator can be whatever, however many pieces the whole is broken up into, you have 1 piece. And so you have a 1 on top. All right, let's continue on. Erase your boards. The next thing I want you to write is decompose 9/6 as a sum of unit fractions. We just reminded ourselves what a unit fraction is. So decompose 9/6 as a sum of unit fractions. When you hear that, you should think, okay, sum, I know what that means. Unit fraction, I know what that means. Decompose 9/6. About 30 seconds. All right, The unit fraction in this case, when we have a denominator of 6, is 1/6. So we have 1/6 plus 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 1/6. Let's count to make sure that we have 9/6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yes, you should have 9 1/6. Something we like to do is group our unit fractions into groups that would make a whole. Class, tell me, how many sixths make a whole? 6 sixths make a whole. So we can group up 1/6 plus 1/6 6 times to make our one whole. This will remind us one way that we can turn a improper fraction into a mixed number, because those 6 sixths make one whole, and then we have 3 sixths over here for one whole and 3 sixths. That's not what it told us to do as a part of the question. It's just good to think about. On your quiz, you will be asked to decompose a number as a sum of unit fractions. Let's keep going. We're going to practice now converting a mixed number to an improper fraction and an improper fraction to a mixed number. The first one I want us to do a little bit together is converting a mixed number to an improper fraction. As soon as you see a question that says to do this, you should be thinking in your head, what does a mixed number look like and what does an improper fraction look like? When you have a picture of what it looks like in your head, it's easier to remember what you're supposed to do to the whole numbers. So right now, we have whole numbers as whole numbers, and we need to get rid of those whole numbers and turn them into fractions equivalent to whole numbers. So write 2 3/5 on your board and put it in a circle. The first thing we're going to do is decompose 2 3/5 into all of its pieces. Remember that all of the legs of your number bond add up to the main part of your number bond. So the proper way to decompose 2 3/5 is one whole, and 3/5, because those all add up to be 2 3/5. Now we need to convert our whole numbers into whole number fractions. We need to go swoop, and turn them into whole number fractions with the denominator that we're using. So in this case, we will have 5/5 plus 5/5 plus 3/5. You knew that it was going to be 5/5, or at least you should have, because we're using the denominator 5. That's how we know we're doing 5/5 and not 3/3 or 2/2 or 4/4. Then we can add this up for the number of fifths that we have. 5/5 plus 5/5 plus 3/5 equals 13/5. 2 3/5 written as an improper fraction is 13/5. All right. Go ahead and erase your board. The next one we're going to do is 1 6/9. 1 6/9. Go ahead and put that in a bubble and solve on your board. All right, let's check. You should have decomposed 1 6/9 into 1 whole and 6/9. You grabbed out that 1 whole so that you can turn it into a fraction. We're going to get rid of it and turn it into 9/9. Then we add 9/9 plus 6/9. 9/9 plus 6/9 is what, class? 15 ninths. So we found that 1 6 ninths is equal to 15 ninths. We're going to do one more like this. Go ahead and erase your boards. The last one I want you to do is 3 2/3. 3 2/3. Twenty seconds left. All right, I'm not sure how this is going to translate over the video, but we're going to do what we did yesterday, and I want you to raise your hand when you see me making a mistake. Catch my mistake. Raise your hand when you see me doing something wrong. All right, I'm going to decompose this into 1 whole and 1 whole and 2/3. Probably all of you are raising your hands already. My mistake so far is that 1 whole plus 1 whole plus 2/3 doesn't equal 3 2/3. I need 1 more whole because I have 3 wholes, and that decomposes into 1 whole, 1 whole, and 1 whole. Then I also need 2/3. All right, now I'm going to convert them all to fractions. Whoop, whoop, whoop. All right, your hands are probably in the air again. This is also wrong. 2/2 is not the right fraction for this problem. Since my denominator is 3, I need to convert all of my whole numbers into 3/3. So I should properly write this as 3/3 plus 3/3 plus 3/3 plus 2/3. 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 2 is 11/3. So I found that 3 2/3 equals 11/3. If this is something that has become completely fluent for you, you might have been thinking about the fact that for your 3 wholes, you'll need 3/3 3 times, and so you can multiply your denominator of 3, which is 3/3, 3 times for your whole number, and added 2 for 11/3. All right, let's continue. We're going to do 2 of these, converting an improper fraction to a mixed number. This is one that you usually are quicker at getting, so I'm going to write both of the problems that you're going to do up on the board at once. The first one I want you to do is 11/4. You will go through and pull out whole numbers and convert this into a mixed number. The second one that I want you to do is 16/5. Go ahead and do both of those. You'll have 2 minutes. All right, stop working and you turn your attention up here. We're decomposing 11/4 and pulling out 4/4 at a time to turn it into wholes. I can pull out 4/4 from 11/4. If it helps you figure out what comes next, you can do 11 minus 4, which shows us we have 7/4 left. Class, can I pull out 4 more fourths from 7/4? Yes, so now I can pull out 4 more fourths. I had 7, I used 4 more, now I have 3. Class, can I pull out 4 more fourths from 3/4? No, so I have to write the 3/4 right where they are. Now, if you are visualizing what your mixed number needs to look like, you should remember, based off of that poster on the wall or what we've been talking about, that the whole numbers stand next to the fraction. So we need to take these fractions and whoop, turn them into whole numbers. So I'm going to take 4/4, whoop, 1 whole, 4/4, whoop, 1 whole, and 3/4. Then I can add those 3 parts together for 1 whole, 2 wholes, and 3/4. So I found that 11/4, written as a mixed number, is 2 3/4. Now, let's look at 16/5. You should maybe start thinking about how many times you can get 5/5 out of 16. You might think to yourself, how many times does 5 go into 16? Thinking about things like that will make it easier for you to do this more quickly. So a lot of you will think, I know 5 goes into 16 3 times, so I'm probably going to have 3 wholes. Let's work it all the way out for everyone who's checking their number bonds. We have 16/5, and I'm going to pull out 5/5. I had 16, and I used 5. So now I have 11. Class, can I pull out 5 more fifths from 11 fifths? Yes, 5 more fifths can come out from 11 fifths. Now I had 11, I used 5 more. Now I have 6. Class, can I pull out 5 more fifths from 6/5? Yes, 5 more fifths from 6/5. 6 minus 5 is 1. Can I pull out 5 more fifths from 1/5? No. So I just need 1/5 written right here. Now I'm going to go swoop, 1 whole, swoop, 1 whole, swoop, 1 whole, and then add 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1/5 to give me my answer of 3 1/5. All right. For the rest of class today, we are going to be working on a paper. We are about to go through a transition. So what we're about to do in a minute is you're going to put away your whiteboards, markers, and erasers, and Mrs. Fraser is going to pass out your papers that we're going to be working on. I'm going to let you pause the video and get yourselves put together, but remember to transition quickly and quietly so that you can have lots of time to prepare for your quiz. Go ahead and pause the video, and I'll see you in a second to introduce what you're doing on this paper. Go. All right, I hope that you have come back before you started on the paper so that we can talk about what you're going to do. On your paper, I wish I had a full picture of what the full paper looked like, but there are 3 boxes. This is the first box, and then there's another box next to it and another box next to that. And each of those boxes is split in half, and it has 4 columns in it. What you're going to do is turn 3 1/2 into an improper fraction and write that in the box next to it. Then you're going to turn 23/8 into a mixed number and write that in the box next to that. The directions say that you're going to be cutting and gluing, but I think that it's probably best if we didn't make a mess, and I think you should be able to find the answers on your own. If you feel like you are really stuck, ask Mrs. Fraser for some help, and she might be able to give you something to help. I'm going to recommend that if you are running out of time and we don't have lots of time left in class, that you work on this independently. If you have more than 10 minutes left, well, you'll need time to check. So if you have more than 20 minutes left in class, then it's probably okay if you work with a partner. Let Mrs. Fraser make the call on that. Maybe I shouldn't have said anything about it. Listen to what she wants you to do about whether you should be working independently or working with a partner. If you have a question, you can ask Mrs. Fraser. And come back with enough time in class to check your work for the rest of this video. You can go ahead and pause it and get to work. Do your best to prepare for your quiz. Okay, I think you are back from working on your papers. We are going to quickly check all of the answers. First one we're going to check is 3 1/2. It's already a mixed number, so we need to turn it into an improper fraction. We have 2 halves from our 3, 2 halves, 2 halves, and 1/2. All of those halves up together, it's like we did 2 times 3, which is 6, plus 1 is 7 halves. Check yours. Did you get 7 halves? If you did, give yourself a nice little check mark. Now let's look at 23/8. This time we're going the other way. So we need to see how many times we can pull out 8/8. We can pull it out one time, 8, another time, that's 16, another time, would be 24, and 24 is too much. So we can only pull out 8/8 2 times for 16. Then there are 7/8 left, and when we turn these into wholes, we have 1 whole, 2 wholes, and 7/8. So 23/8 written as a mixed number is 2 7/8. Check yours. Did you get 2 7/8? If so, give yourself a check mark. Now we have 6 1/4. 6 1/4. We can pull out those whole numbers. We're going to have 6 of them, and that's going to be 4/4 6 times. If you write out 4/4 6 times, do it. 4/4 6 times. If you can just think of it like 4/4 times 6 for 24, plus the 1/4 that we also have, then you will get the same answer of 25/4. 25/4. All right, now we have 23/5. 23/5 might be one that you're able to start thinking about. How many times does 5 go into 23? How many times am I going to be able to pull out 5/5? So 23/5. We can pull out 5/5. 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 And that would get us to 20. We can't pull out 5/5 again, so then we will just write 3/5. And when we turn these into wholes, we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4 to go with our 3/5 for our answer. Raise your hand if you got all 4 of these correct. Put your hands down. Raise your hand if you're proud of yourself because you caught a mistake. Okay, good. Put your hands down, and we are going to keep going. All right. Here we have 8/3, and we need to turn 8/3 into a mixed number. 8/3. We can pull out 3/3, and then we would have 5/3 left. From 5/3, we can pull out 3 more thirds. Now we have 6/3, and we can't pull out any more, but 2/3 goes with those. Then we turn these into whole numbers, 1 whole, 2 wholes, and 2/3 for our answer of 2 2/3. Give yourself a heart if you got that one right. Next, let's do 5 3/10. This 5 is going to turn into 10 tenths 5 times. So 10 tenths, 10 tenths, 10 tenths, 10 tenths, and 10 tenths. Then we also have our 3 tenths. This is 10 tenths 5 times. 10 times 5 is 50. Plus 3 is 53 tenths. 53 tenths will be our answer. Now we have 31 twelfths. 31 twelfths. We can pull out 12 twelfths. That'll work. Then we can go back to our 31 and subtract 12 from it. 1 minus 2, you can't do it, so you borrow. 11 minus 2 is 9. 2 minus 1 is 19. So now I have 19 twelfths. From 19 twelfths, I can pull out 12 more twelfths. 19 minus 12 means I have 7 left. I can't pull out 12 more twelfths from 7 twelfths, so I just write 7 twelfths. Then I can turn these into 1 whole, 2 wholes, and 7 twelfths. 2 and 7 twelfths is 31 twelfths written as a mixed number. You can give yourself hearts if you got both of those two right. I'm sorry if I'm going fast. I just wanted to make sure that you had enough time to work. Let's do 3 and 1/6. 3 and 1/6. 6, 6, 3 times. 6, 6, 3 times. You can think of it like 6 times 3 is 18, plus the 1/6 is going to be 19/6. 19/6. If you got all of it, you can give yourself a big heart. Raise your hand if you got all of them. Put your hands down. Raise your hand if you caught a mistake. That's even better. Good. Let's keep going. Here are the last 4. We have 2 and 4/5 that we need to turn into an improper fraction. All right. 2 and 4/5. We have 5/5, 2 times. 5 times 2 is 10. And then we have 4/5. Plus 4/5 is 14/5. Star for this one. 14/5. Now we're doing 13/3, written as a mixed number. I can pull out 3/3. That's 3. I can pull out 3 more thirds. That's 6. I can pull out 3 more thirds. That's 9. I can pull out 3 more thirds. That's 12. If I were going to do another 3/3, that would be too much though. So I had 12 thirds, and then 1/3 will get me all the way to 13 thirds. When I turn these all to whole numbers, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 wholes, and 1/3. 3 and 5/8. 3 wholes, 5/8. We're going to have 3 wholes as 8/8, 8/8, and 8/8, plus 5/8. 8 times 3, 8, 16, 24, plus 5 is 29/8. And last but not least, we have 47 tenths. This can be 10 tenths, 10 tenths, 10 tenths, 10 tenths, and 7 tenths. When we turn them to whole numbers, we have 4 wholes and 7 tenths. All right, that is all of the checking that I have for today. You can give yourselves stars if you got all of them right. I hope that you learned something and that you caught a error pattern that you were maybe having where the practicing we have done for the rest of the week hasn't quite gotten it yet, but maybe you caught something right before we had to take the quiz. So like I said, this afternoon, you're going to go into the science lab and take your quiz. The most important thing that I need you to remember for that quiz is to visualize what a mixed number and an improper fraction are supposed to look like. That way, the two different methods we use to switch back and forth, you'll be able to remember, am I supposed to be making whole numbers or am I supposed to be getting rid of whole numbers? So you need to identify, do I have whole numbers and I need to get rid of them, or do I have no whole numbers and I need to make them? That should help you while you're getting ready to take your quiz. I hope that you are on your best behavior for the rest of the day, that you are very respectful for Mrs. Frazier. It would be very nice if you would thank her when you have a good chance. I hope that you do your best on your quiz and that you have a good, safe weekend. Thank you, guys.